These aren't real frogs, are they?
People love chocolate. Many of the Western world's happiest traditions revolve around this delicious treat.
I've got about 500 myself. Watch it.
Wrapping paper of 5 ordinary Wonka bars.
Wouldn't it be something, Charlie, to open a bar of candy and find a golden ticket?
But I only get 1 bar a year.
Nothing's impossible. You found Wonka's last golden ticket. He's Willy Wonka.
Thousands of years ago, someone found a cacao pod hanging from a large jungle tree, popped it open and enjoyed the fruit, and saved the seeds. People made a cocoa drink from the seeds. Then Europeans developed candies from the chocolate syrup. Then mechanization took this process and created a leviathan that devours tons of cocoa beans and produces billions of dollars.
Fine, you're doing splendidly. Speed it up a little!
Like they get more mature, Cacao. There's no parking at Cacao, but all I had was valet parking Cacao. And when he asked me to park cars on Cacao, I'm like, I'm not Cacao. I'm not gonna.
What is cacao anyway? Well, it's a pod that grows on a tropical tree, and the pods can be broken open, and there are white seeds inside that can be fermented and then dried. And the dried cacao seeds are cocoa beans.
Delicious fruit. It's very sweet. It's kind of like got a little bit of juice to it, and it's, you know, you suck it right off of the seed and then spit out the seed. But those people that like to use the seed, they can be eaten straight when they're in their purple form, but we'll actually ferment them under banana leaves and then dry them, and that's how they turn into the cacao that people grind up and use for their you know, in their diet and stuff. Mostly entertainment food is what it's looked at.
Entertainment food. So why do you call it an entertainment food, Jeremy?
Well, because it doesn't really have any major health benefits. I mean, minor health benefits, just like alcohol has minor health benefits, but anyone that's like drinking an extreme amount of alcohol is more likely to be hurting their liver, but having a great time doing it. But they're probably harming their body more than they're doing good for their body. And the same thing is often true about the cacao, that it's doing a lot of damage to the body, but at the same time, it's very fun. It's a great party food. It gets people very excited. It's got a lot of endorphin rushes to it. You know, people really enjoy it for the exhilarating effects of it. You know, stimulant similar to coffee. People that do coffee, you know, doing cacao is kind of an upgrade for them. But people that live a really pure raw lifestyle, they might not like the cacao because it does have that stimulating effect, and it is highly addictive. People are these days even beginning to look to other things. A close relative of it called Kapuasu, which is a type of cacao that doesn't have those problems, another member of the Theobroma family. But these are great, they're really fun and great to get into, and the fruit, of course, has no negative side effect, unlike the bean, which does have some effect on the liver and the kidneys and the adrenals in the long run. But in the short run, it's a great thing to get into. So let's maybe open up.
Yeah, let's open it up. So now Jeremy is opening the cacao with a machete, and they're really hard. And there you go. Inside, this is the fruit, the non-edible part. This thing is really rock hard, like think a winter squash hard right here, man. You could barely break that apart.
And this is the part that we're going to be sucking off of right here.
Oh, and look, this one's sprouting.
Mm-hmm.
So sprouted cacao. So basically, we're just sucking off the white, like pithy type part on there for the nutrients, right? Mm-hmm. And that has no negative effects.
No negative effects,
but
right.
Just positive effects.
It's just fruit and water and a little bit of theobroma and a little bit of minerals and nutrients. But yeah, very low level kind of a thing. As you can see, there's not a lot of it anyway.
Right. Yeah, there's not a lot. It's mostly all seeds.
Mm-hmm.
So Jeremy, I know that you found out and educated the raw food community about cacao, but now you rarely eat cacao yourself, right? Is that
Rarely,
true?
yeah.
Now,
very true.
why is that, and what did you find?
I found, that it was a really big mood swing creator, that it created a lot of mood swings for people, and that if they didn't consume it every single day, that they basically would go into these wild rides, myself included, from it, where it caused a lot of emotional upheaval. People were getting angry and kind of like getting very testy very easily from it. It seemed to be very similar to anyone that was going through a withdrawal symptom from caffeine. People that were used to drinking soda every day, drinking coffee every day, or eating chocolate every day. All of a sudden, when we took it away from them, those people got very aggro and very angry, and then as soon as you gave it to them, they became completely complacent and happy again. And I began to say, wow, this has really got a dark side effect. And then the people that began to do it long term began to see a lot of negative side effects. It was really affecting their liver in a big way, and really hard on the liver. And people
Estimated that chocolate has been around for about 2,000 years, but recent research suggests that it may have even been older. As recent as last November, anthropologists from the University of Pennsylvania announced the discovery of cocoa residue on pottery excavated in Honduras that could date back as far as 1400 BCE. It appears that the sweet pulp of the cocoa fruit, which surrounds the beans, was fermented into an alcoholic beverage of the time. Etymologists traced the origin of the word to chocolate to the Aztec word exocodal, which referred to a bitter drink brewed from the cocoa beans. The Latin name for the cocoa tree, Theobroma cocoa, means food of the gods. It's hard to pin down exactly when the chocolate was born, but it's clear that it was cherished from the start. For several centuries in pre-modern Latin America, cocoa beans were considered valuable enough to use as currency. One bean could be traded for a tamale, while 100 beans could purchase a good turkey hen, according to the 16th century Aztec document. Both the Mayans and the Aztecs believed the cocoa bean had magical or even divine properties suitable for the use in the most sacred rituals of birth, marriage, and death.
The Aztec people had myths explaining the origins of cacao and chocolate. Quetzalcoatl, the god of the morning star, came down to earth, and the people worshipped him and built a plaza and a temple for him. He loved the people and gave them a plant that the other gods jealously guarded because they made their favorite drink from it. Quetzalcoatl asked the goddess of flowers to make the plant beautiful with flowers, and the god of rain to nurture the cacao. He taught the women of Mexico to grind the beans and make the drink that the gods loved to drink. The other gods became angry and tricked Quetzalcoatl into drinking the fermented juice of the agave, and he was disgraced and humiliated when he got drunk in front of all the people, so he left the earth. Some people of Mexico still do rituals honoring Quetzalcoatl. The chocolate that we have here, such as Hershey's and Ferrero, or bars of Carlos V, that's sweet chocolate, or bars. A cocoa bean is much stronger. 10 times as strong as this bar. I'm going to prepare everything in a Italian, so you will experience the magic of chocolate, just like the Zapotec and the Maya used to. Lori tries to breathe new life into ancient chocolate rituals. She does this in the same spot where the Aztecs gave cocoa to its people. They called the drink chocolate. Chocolatl means bitter water. To brew this rustic drink, the beans first go into the blender. Cocoa is stimulating. You relax and feel happy. But you can also be emotional and start crying. Others get in touch with themselves. You are alone with yourself. With your mind and your heart. Where are we going now? The chocolate does something to your emotions. First, you need to clean yourself with incense. I want you to feel the liquid cocoa in your body for the first time. You can totally let go. Every participant gets a mug of the hallucinogenic chocolate. Then the spiritual journey can begin. Who wants to share his experiences with us? I was seeing old people. They were my ancestors and shamans. I'm not sure what I felt, or only that my heart was beating slower, here somewhere. The answer is in your heart.
In 1528, the conquering Spaniards returned to Spain with chocolate still consumed as a beverage. A similar chocolate drink was brought to a royal wedding in France in 1615, and England welcomed chocolate in 1662. To this point, chocolate as we spell it today had been spelled variously as chocolatal, jacolatte, and jacolatte, and chocolate. Chocolate remained an aristocratic nectar until Dutch chemist Conrad Johannes van Houten in 1828 invented the cocoa press, which revolutionized chocolate making. The cocoa press could squeeze the fatty cocoa butter from roasted cocoa beans, leaving behind a dry cake that could be pulverized into a fine powder that then could be mixed with other liquids and other ingredients and poured into molds and solidified into edible, easily digestible chocolate. The innovation by Van Houten ushered in the modern era of chocolate by enabling it to be used as a confectionery ingredient. In 1847, British chocolate company J.S. Fry & Sons created the first solid edible chocolate bar from cocoa butter, cocoa powder, and sugar.
I'm going to take the cacao beans and put them into a roaster. Put that over hot coals, and turning it slowly for probably 15 or 20 minutes will roast the beans, much like roasting a coffee bean will bring out the scent and the flavor of the chocolate. It's also going to loosen up the inner skin. The next step, called winnowing, is going to loosen that inner skin. And then I'll take those cacao nibs and place them on a heated stone metate and grind them until they become smaller and smaller pieces. Ending finally as a chocolate liquor, a semi-liquid form of chocolate. It was not too long before people started introducing sugar and other flavors, other spices that were familiar to them, things like vanilla and cinnamon into the mix. Chocolate in the 17th or 18th century is usually a hot beverage. And by this point it also has the addition of some sugar and sometimes spices to it as well. And part that's very important was to serve this with a foam or a froth on top, which also harkens back to the Mesoamerican tradition.
Milton Hershey was encouraged by his father to be the apprentice of a printer. Although he did not seem to hate this line of work, he left this apprenticeship to work for a candy maker. In this new apprentice position, Hershey learned the art of caramel making and found his love and calling for candy making. At the age of 18, Milton started his first candy shop that remained open for 6 years in Denver, Colorado. In 1886, Milton Hershey moved back to Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and started the successful Lancaster Caramel Company. This is where the direction of his company changed from making caramel to making chocolate.
In 1894, Milton Hershey decided to produce chocolate to drizzle over the top of his caramels. Little did he know that the chocolate itself would become a decadent treat that was to be desired. After he began using the chocolate as coverings for the caramel in 1894, Milton decided to make chocolate bars and other scrumptious treats.
Hershey experimented with chocolate recipes and discovered a way of making chocolate bars economically. Before this time, chocolate was an exclusive Swiss luxury item.
The demand for Hershey's chocolate bars became so high that Milton Hershey decided to sell his caramel company and strictly stick with Hershey's chocolate bars. He decided to make a new factory. In 1905 it was started and it was ready for chocolate production. The products developed by Hershey's over the next few years were Hershey's Kisses in 1907, Mr. Goodbar candy bars in 1925, Hershey's syrup in 1926, Hershey's chocolate chips in 1928, and the Crackle Bar 1938.
The new factory was built near the farm where Milton Hershey was raised. He also planned and built the community around the factory for his workers. He believed that if you take good care of your workers, the company will thrive. He also believed that children are the future. Hershey, Pennsylvania is the embodiment of his social conscience in that it provided excellent schools, green spaces, a theater that sat 6,000 people, and a zoo to accommodate his 1,000 factory workers and their families. Another benefit of the location of Hershey's factory is that it is within the center of a dairy farming region, and massive amounts of milk pour into Hershey's factories every day. During World War II, Milton Hershey and his company helped the war effort by making gun parts for the Navy in their machine shop, as well as by developing chocolate products that stored well in hot climates and could be put into soldiers' rations. Hershey didn't advertise until the 1970s, at least not in the typical way. They had postcards that visitors to Hershey's, Pennsylvania would send home, and these postcards were sent all over the world from the town chocolate built, which was a destination people enjoyed visiting. The factory promoted the town, and the town promoted the factory. Today, Hershey's markets its products in approximately 70 countries worldwide, with approximately 14,000 employees and net sales in excess of $6.6 billion. The Hershey's Company remains committed to the vision and values of the man who started it so many years ago. Thousands of years of chocolate-making technique, mixed with the mechanization of the modern world, creates the chocolate factory.
Good morning, George. How are you? I hope you're feeling fine. I'd love to stay and talk, but it's almost 8 o'clock and I haven't got the time. See you later, because we work real hard at the chocolate factory.